Have you ever stopped to think about the real fundamental difference between, say, a mushroom and a mountain? I mean, it seems obvious, right? But the answer to that simple question unlocks the very blueprint for all life on Earth. Today, we're going to dive into the secret checklist that every single living thing has to pass. And then we'll explore the incredible system scientists use to organize millions of species into one giant, amazing library of life. Let's jump in.
So, yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? We know just by looking that a mushroom is alive and a rock, well, it isn't. But why? What are the actual rules? Is there some kind of definitive scientific test that separates the living from the non-living? So, to figure this out, our first stop is to find that secret blueprints. And it really is like a checklist. To be considered alive in the world of biology, something has to tick every single box. There are no maybes, and definitely no exceptions. And believe it or not, scientists have managed to boil this huge, complex idea of life down to a really neat 9-point checklist. You can think of these 9 rules as the fundamental operating system for every living thing we've ever discovered. Okay, let's quickly run through these. All life is made of cells, and it needs energy to do, well, anything. Living things react to what's around them, like a plant bending toward the sunlight. They also grow, they reproduce, and they have to get rid of waste. But then there are the really cool ones. Ordered complexity just means life isn't a random jumble of stuff. It's incredibly organized. Homeostasis is all about keeping things stable on the inside. Think about how your body works to keep your temperature right around 98.6 degrees. And finally, evolutionary adaptation. This is the big one that allows life to change over generations to survive. So a rock, it fails every single one of these. Our mushroom? It passes with flying colors. Okay, so we've got our definition of what life is. But how in the world do you go about organizing the millions and millions of different species, from the tiniest bacteria to the biggest blue whale? You need a system. So welcome to what I like to call life's library. And the science behind this gigantic organizational project is called taxonomy. You can really think of taxonomists as the ultimate librarians for the entire natural world. Their job is to give every living thing a very specific spot on the shelf, right next to its closest relative. And the system they use works almost exactly like a mailing address, starting really, really broad and getting more and more specific. You start with the domain, that's kind of like the entire country. Then you have the kingdom, which is like the state. Then the phylum is the city. And you keep narrowing it down until you finally get to the species, which is the unique street address for that one specific organism. Now, any good library needs a clear, consistent naming system, right? One that works for every scientist, no matter what language they speak. And for this, biology came up with a solution that is just so simple and elegant. It's called binomial nomenclature. I know it sounds super complicated, but it's not, I promise. Just break it down. Bi means two, and nomen means name. It's literally just a two-name naming system. Every single recognized species on the planet gets its own unique two-part scientific name. Let's just take a lion as an example. Its scientific name is Panthera leo. The first part, Panthera, is its genus. That's kind of like its last name, which it shares with other big cats like tigers and leopards. The second part, Leo, is its unique species name. Think of it like a first name. Together, Panthera leo is a universal code that means lion to any scientist anywhere in the world. So, we've got a way to organize everything and a way to name everything. Now let's zoom out and look at the biggest sections in our library, the 5 great kingdoms. These are like the major branches on the entire tree of life. So, the first big split is all about cell type. You have the Monera kingdom, that's bacteria, with really simple prokaryotic cells that don't have a nucleus. Everything else, from algae to us, has more complex eukaryotic cells that do have a nucleus. After that, it's pretty much all about how they get food. The plantee, or plants, are autotrophs. They make their own food. The animalia and fungi are heterotrophs. They have to get their food from others. But here's the cool part. Animals ingest their food, while fungi, like our mushroom, absorb nutrients from whatever they're growing on. See? It's actually a pretty logical system when you break it down. But just when everything seems perfectly neat and tidy, biology loves to throw us a curveball. There's something missing from our 5 kingdoms, something that totally blurs the very line between life and non-life that we just worked so hard to draw. Yep, I'm talking about viruses. This is one of the biggest debates in biology. If we go all the way back to our 9-point checklist for life,
where does a virus actually fit? Is it alive or is it not?
When you put a virus and a living cell side by side, the comparison is it's stark. A living cell can reproduce all on its own. A virus, it has to literally hijack a host cell just to make copies of itself. A cell grows and maintains that internal balance, homeostasis. A virus does neither of those things. And maybe most importantly, a virus isn't even a cell. It fails most of the biggest tests on our checklist for life.
And because of all that, the scientific consensus is pretty clear. If you open up just about any biology textbook, you'll see some version of this. Viruses are not included in the five-kingdom system for one very simple reason. They're not technically considered living things. They exist in this totally bizarre, fascinating gray area between chemistry and biology.
And that leaves us with one last really cool thought to chew on. We've built this amazing, orderly system to define and classify all of life. But if something like a virus can exist right on the edge of that definition, it really makes you wonder, what else is out there? What else could challenge our neat little boxes and force us to rethink what it even means to be alive? Thanks for exploring this with me.